And now we'll take a question from Boston.
School in Danvers, Mass. Could you share your thoughts on the current crisis regarding the current level of student loan debt, and how might the burden of current student loan debts for our young people impact the economy in the future if these same borrowers are not in a position to borrow for goods such as housing and automobiles or for starting up new businesses?
Well, student loan debt, which is now one of the largest categories of debt of any type at this point, is kind of a two-edged sword. On the one hand, education is an investment. It's an investment in human capital, and it's, as I mentioned before, a very important way of increasing your earning power. And we don't want to have a world in which talented students are unable to get additional education because they can't afford it. So having a student debt market or a student debt program allows people who don't have the money still to get the education and to benefit from that, and it helps everybody if students go on and get additional preparation. So it's very important to have this kind of institution. Now, as I said, it's a two-edged sword. On the other hand, if people make bad choices, they can end up being burdened with student debt, large amounts of it, which is not even, as you may know, you can't even discharge student debt in bankruptcy. I mean, basically, you've got it. So if you acquire a lot of debt, but you find that the schooling you got doesn't really prepare you for a good job, then you're really in trouble because you don't have the income, but you have the debt. So what I think I would first advise on that is that just like any other investment, when you're investing in your own human capital, you got to be smart. You got to make smart investments. You got to know what it is you're buying. Those of you who do guidance counseling type work, think of it as being an investment advisor. You're trying to explain to the student, what kind of job or career you expect to get out of your additional education. What are the graduation rates? What are the job finding rates for this particular institution? What kinds of income can you expect to earn? And does all this make sense given how much debt you have to take? Now, of course, that's not the only reason people take out debt and go get additional education. There's lots of reasons, personal and other reasons, to get more schooling. But if you're thinking about it purely as an economic proposition, it's important to understand what it is you're buying. Are you making a good investment? So counseling, I think, should be an important part of the decision-making process for kids taking out student debt, because it does stick around for a long time. So in terms of the economy, I think the main issues there are really fiscal issues. Most student debt is now provided by the federal government, and so whatever losses or problems there may be on that side will be fiscal problems. Losses will be borne by the taxpayer ultimately. And there are also the issues, again, of students being burdened by debt if they don't use it in a smart way to get themselves the kind of income they need to pay it off. So burden on future consumers and fiscal burdens for future taxpayers, those are some of the reasons to try to use debt wisely. I don't think that student debt is a, again, you never know, but I don't think it's a financial stability issue to the same extent that, say, mortgage debt was in the last crisis, because most of it is held not by financial institutions but by the federal government.